Welcome to part 2 of the Usability Testing Deep Dive. To prepare for and conduct usability testing, we need to follow 3 simple steps: prepare, perform, and summarize. Today we'll focus on step 2, perform. In the last video, we talked about planning the usability testing. I will put the link in the card and in the description. At this point, we have our plan ready, including goals, script, and the prototype. Now it's time to execute what we've planned. In step 2, perform, we need to recruit the participants, conduct the testing, and collect data. The first task is to recruit the participants. You need to identify people who fit the criteria that you've defined in the planning stage, then reach out to them and invite them to the testing. Finding those people may be challenging, and this responsibility usually lands on the designer who organizes the research. Let's talk about some methods that you can use to find the testers. Testers list. Of course, the best position to be in is to have an established list of volunteers provided by your UX research team. This list is built over time by your company. It includes people who are current and potential users of your product. Unfortunately, it is provided only in organizations with highly developed UX research culture, which is not the case in many companies. If possible, I recommend starting the testers list in your organization. It is a really valuable resource. At the very least, at the end of every usability testing or user research session, ask if they wouldn't mind to be contacted in the future and add them to the list if they agree. Current users. You can contact the current users of your product, especially the ones who gave you feedback in the past or filled out the service that you've sent. Remember to consult your team first to make sure that you're legally allowed to send them emails. There may be some laws, contractual agreements, or privacy concerns in place that you need to respect. Champions and admins. It is especially applicable to B2B and enterprise products where you have people in your customer's organization who are responsible for introducing your product to their team. They can connect you with other people in their company. To get in touch with champions and admins, you usually need to contact your product manager. They probably already have a relationship with them. Recruiting agency. You can hire a company that specializes in reaching out to people based on provided criteria. It may be especially useful if you're looking for people with a very specific profile that would be hard to reach through your own network, like doctors with a given specialization or owners of the construction company, for example. Your network. Use social media to reach out to people you already know who fit the criteria. This method usually has a really high conversion rate because it's easier to convince someone to spend time on testing if they already know you. New network. In some cases, you need to expand your network, find people on LinkedIn, or create Facebook ads that are targeted towards a particular demographic. User testing platforms like usertesting.com. Those companies have a base of testers from different fields that they can connect you with. Typically, they offer unmoderated usability testing, so you will need to make sure that your questions and prompts are really on point because you will not be there to clarify. Also, you need to consider some downsides to those platforms. The feedback quality sometimes may be low because some participants are not that invested in the testing. You can't ask the follow-up questions, so you may end up with some unclear feedback. Certain demographics are easier to access than the others. For example, you will have no problems looking for junior software developers on those platforms, but accessing neurosurgeons will be nearly impossible. And the last option is hallway testing. You can reach out to people from within your organization and test the prototype with them. Go outside of the product department, talk to sales and marketing depending on your criteria. If you would like to have a new user like testers, reach out to people who joined recently. Of course, it is not a perfect method, but sometimes if you lack time or resources to use external testers, it is better than not testing your design at all. After finding your testers, you need to set up the sessions with them. To avoid the unnecessary back and forth, I recommend using a scheduling software like Calendly that integrates with your calendar and allows people to book the sessions online. In addition, to minimize the no-shows, set a confirmation email with all the details like date, time, and meeting link 1 day before the test. Now moving on to the main task, conducting the tests, I would like to share with you a couple of good practices that will allow you to get more objective feedback and have a situation under control. First, make the testers comfortable. You need to ensure that the testers are not stressed out or feel pressured, otherwise your test will become a nightmare and you will get a lot of false negatives. Make sure to explain what usability testing is. They may have never taken part in one and be embarrassed to ask. Emphasize that there are no wrong or right answers. You're looking for honest feedback and want to observe their natural behavior. Reduce the pressure. Say that this is not the test of their skills, it is a test of the prototype. You can even tell them that you haven't designed it so they don't feel bad sharing negative feedback. State clearly that your team's goal is to remove all the issues before the release, so their honest feedback will save you a lot of time and is basically the best thing that they can do for you. It changes the scenery from a critique to giving a hopeful advice. Be enthusiastic and genuinely excited about the test. Hopefully they will mirror your energy. Number 2 is do not interrupt. You need to lead the test, but at the same time let people behave naturally. Allow the silence. People are thinking during the test. A moment of silence doesn't mean that something is going wrong. Sometimes they just need to read the text again or just analyze the interface. Ask follow-up questions. Ask what they were expecting from the interface and why they've taken a particular action. It will allow you to get more detailed feedback and avoid false positives just in case they just guessed it or clicked by mistake. Do not provide answers or suggestions. Let the testers figure it out by themselves. Even if they ask you things like, can I click it or is that right? You can just say, let's try and let them explore. Do not give any suggestions until they are actually stuck. If they tried 3-4 times to find a solution, and of course it will count as a task failure. 3. Measure emotions. Emotions and reactions are more difficult to measure than things like task completion rate, for example, so you need to pay special attention to them. Ask people to self-report. They need to tell you how they felt during the task. Were they confused, surprised, or maybe everything went well? Take note of strong emotions like confusion or excitement. Mark those moments in the recordings. They will come in handy when analyzing the data. 4. Record and transcribe the meeting. Taking notes during a usability test is really distracting and it feels a little too official. Remember to ask permission for recording. You can also hint about it in the invitation before the test. Before we close, I would like to talk about remote usability testing. It is becoming increasingly more popular to connect with participants via a video call instead of inviting them to the office. It's more convenient and location independent. Of course, all the good practices that apply to regular usability testing work also here, but I would like to share some more specific tips with you. First, make sure that participants have access to a quiet room and stable internet connection. You can mention those requirements in your email invitation as well. If there are any technical difficulties, remain calm and make sure that people feel comfortable before moving forward with the test. 2. Choose the right tools. When choosing a meeting software, pay attention to how easy or difficult it is for participants to join the call. Do they need to log in or download the app? Also explore the transcription and recording options for you. You can use a general meeting software like Zoom or Google Meet, or look for alternatives that were specifically created for usability testing, like Lookback, for example, where you can create a database for your research, use timestamp notes, or even invite your colleagues as observers to the calls, where they can show up and see the call, but testers are not aware of it, so they are not stressing out. 3. Check the settings of your Figma prototype. Make sure that it's visible to everyone and it's adjusted to screen's width. Otherwise, you will need to ask testers to adjust the display settings before the test, and it's really painful to do. Also, before the test, make sure that everything works properly by opening the link in your browser in the incognito mode. 4. Explore giving remote control over your screen. If you would like to test the live product or use your staging environment, it may be really difficult or impossible for testers to log in. For example, during a Zoom call, you can give testers control over your screen. They can perform all the actions they need, move the cursor, click, type, etc. Effectively, they're using your computer's interface that displays the version of the product that you would like to test. Today, we've covered Step 2, Perform, how to recruit the participants and how to run a usability test. In the next video, we'll focus on Step 3, Summarize. I'll show you how I analyze data and make recommendations. Don't forget to subscribe so you will not miss out on this part 3. Also, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.